When I was 8 years old, I went to sleepaway camp for the very first time to Camp Chickawaw in Harrison, Maine. And I loved every moment of those 8 weeks in summer camp. The only thing I didn't do that first summer was I didn't take my deep water test in order to go boating and canoeing and sailing. I said, not ready, not yet. I came back for my second summer. I loved camp even more, but I said, still not ready. No deep water test for me. My third summer, I'm now 10 years old. I'm the oldest camper at camp not to have taken his deep water test. Everyone knows I'm ready except for me. My father calls the camp director, Mo Steinberg, and says, Mo, Bradley is taking his deep water test or he's not coming home. I get called down to the waterfront over the PA system at camp. The head of the waterfront is there. All of the swimming counselors are lined up. They explain, today, Bradley, is the day you're gonna take your deep water test. And I say, no thank you, I'm not ready. Today's not the day. And they say, today's the day. They all knew I was ready for my deep water test. Crying, screaming, kicking, protesting, 45 minutes later, I finally passed my deep water test and I never looked back. Everyone knew I could take this test and pass it except for me. And that experience has stayed with me. The experience of going beyond what I thought I could do. The experience of being supported by a group of adults and my parents to try something that I thought was outside of my comfort zone. That experience of journey has really shaped who I am today, so much so that I have devoted my entire career to working with young people as they take their first steps away from home and try out new things and meet new people. Judaism is all about this concept of the journey. Whether it's Moses or Abraham or Joseph, all of them become who they are and help shape the Israelites through experiences in the wilderness, experiences where they're outside of their familiar territory, when they're trying new things and surrounded by new and foreign people. I love that as Jews, we are commanded to go on journeys, to take pilgrimages. We have the 3 pilgrimage holidays, the Shalosh Regalim, Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. 3 times a year, ready or not, we need to leave home and go on journeys. On Sukkot, we're even commanded to build a sukkah so that we have a experience of being in the wilderness with this fragile hut surrounding us and supporting us. I think camp provided me with a sukkah that helped me take that swim test that day. It seems very straightforward, right? We're adults. Our job is to help young people try things that they don't think that they can do. Well, then how come it's so hard? I'm also a parent of a 13-year-old. How come it's so complicated? How come it's so difficult to figure out what's the right answer? What do I do and what do I say in all of these different situations where my child is trying to figure out where she wants to go, what she wants to do, can she do it alone, how much support should she have from me? Being the parent is complex. What's the role of the Jewish parent in helping and supporting your children? Any time that we hide from complexity, I think we're not doing our job. How old are Adam and Eve in the story of the Garden of Eden? All the artwork, all of the stories that are published seem to portray them as young adults. They're in their 20s or their early 30s. I want to ask us today to look at them as teenagers. They're 16, they're 17, maybe they're 18 years old. I think God in this story is the parent. Adam and Eve really in the story is curious. They want to explore. They're interested in testing boundaries. And God says to them, if you eat of the fruit of this tree, you're going to die. God is not interested in them leaving home at all. So God builds a big wall and says, you're not allowed outside of this garden. And then we have the snake, who influences Eve and Adam and disrupts the entire story. What's up with the snake in this story? What's the role the snake plays? I think on first glance, the snake is this evil, disruptive influence. But I also think we might take a look at the snake as teacher. Rabbi David Klein, who I'm lucky to call my father-in-law, describes the snake as the very first teacher in the Bible, in the Torah. I think in this case, the teacher was radical and taught a whole different perspective. And I think that might be scary, especially for us as parents. The Jewish Education Project asked the question about what is the role and who influences young people as they enter into adolescence. And they found out some very interesting things. They found out that as young people grow older, their peers start to influence them more and more. They also are influenced more by adults who are not their parents. But one of the fascinating pieces that they learned is parental influence doesn't go away. It just gets joined by peer influence and non-parental adult influence. We know, when we stop and think, that we can't prevent our kids from leaving home. We can't stop them from going out on journeys. What we can help them do is think carefully about what's the context of their journey. Who are they going on their journey with? What's the right path for their journey? What's the destination for their journey? I think young people today go on lots of different types of these journeys. They go on one-way journeys. I think when I was 16 years old, my parents were getting divorced. I turned to my mom and I said, I want to go to boarding school. She supported me in that experience. I think that was a one-way journey. They go on round-trip journeys. I think summer camp might be the quintessential round-trip journey. I think there's also journeys towards, like when we go on vacations, but there's also journeys away from. The one-way journey is college. The one-way journey is college. Round trip, I think, is camp. Summer camp is that round trip journey. There's journeys towards, like when we go on vacations. There's journeys also away from. When I was 16 years old, when I was a high school student, my parents were getting a divorce. I said to my mom, I'd love to go to boarding school, and she supported me in that journey. That was really a journey away from for me. There's also metaphorical journeys. The idea of reaching out to make a new friend. That's a kind of journey that young people go on. And there's actual journeys where they pack a bag and leave home. Judaism wants to accompany us on every journey we take. In Exodus, in the chapter 25 in the book of Exodus, God says to the Israelites, make me a mikdash, a sanctuary that you can always have with me. Asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. Make a mikdash for me, make a portable sanctuary for me so that I can dwell with you wherever you go, wherever you are on your journey. Young people need to know that Judaism can help inform them, can support them. It's one of the other resources that they should have with them wherever they go. Camp for me has been that touchstone of going away from home, taking risks, trying new things, figuring out how to live with other people and get along, figuring out how to make independent decisions. I finished my career as a camper and became a swimming counselor. I then became the head of a waterfront at another camp. And today, I'm so proud to be the executive director of a Jewish overnight camp. It's hard to be the parent of a young person. It can be challenging as adults to support young people as they go on journeys. That outside voice, whether it's those peers that influence our children or those non-parental adults, of course, we're scared as parents of who's influencing our children. We're worried, are they going to be safe? Certainly, we're concerned about where they are, who they're with, and where they're heading. I think one of the things that we might be scared about is that they may choose different paths than the ones we chose for ourselves, and that might frighten us. I think we need to give voice to that. I think our children need to know that we want to protect them and we want to support them, and that we want them to think about what's the path they're on, who they're on their path with, and where are they heading. Because asking those questions, asking for help along the way, every time they leave home then, they're going to become stronger. They're going to know more about who they are. They're going to learn when they go out of the house and go on a journey what's important to them. And when they go on these kinds of journeys, that's when they're going to discover how they themselves can help contribute to make the world a better place. Thank you.